child is very sick. The child has a fever through the night and cannot sleep well. At a time like this, would a parent scold the child? Would they say, "Why are you sick?" Or get angry and say, "I'm busy tomorrow, so go to sleep already"? They would not. A parent sits beside the child and stays awake through the night. They check the fever, place a cool towel on the child's forehead, and watch the child's condition. If needed, they hold the child and rush to the emergency room, even in the middle of the night. On the other hand, when a mother or father is sick, a young child may place a hand on the parent's forehead and ask, "Are you very sick?" This mind is NP. NP is the mind that considers the other person. It wants to hold, protect, and help. When someone seems to be struggling, it is hard to simply pass by. When something seems to be missing, it wants to fill that empty space first. A person with high NP often senses, almost unconsciously, that the other person needs care. They take care of others even when no one asks. They move first even when no one has asked for help. They quickly notice what someone needs and try to fill the gap. In Torbit TA, we call this mind NP the nurturing self. In existing transactional analysis, this is called nurturing parent. NP is the warm power that notices people and holds them. A person with strong NP softens a community. They ease a rough atmosphere, care for tired people, fill empty spaces, and help others breathe a little more comfortably. Once, when I was giving a lecture at an association, someone brought me water. That person was not even in charge of the event. Still, they noticed first that the speaker might get thirsty and quietly took care of it. This scene shows NP well. It notices a need in advance. It takes care of something before the other person says anything. And this does not feel forced. It comes out almost automatically. A person with high NP brightens the space around them in this way. Many long-term volunteers have strong NP. So do people who run over first when someone is sick, and people who care not only for other people but also for animals and vulnerable beings. They often think, "I can do a little more." So in an organization, they become a support. In a family, they create warmth. In a relationship, they help the other person feel that they are not alone. MP can also appear as leadership. If CP is leadership by the whip, MP is closer to leadership by the carrot. It does not move people by scolding and pulling. It moves people by feeding, caring, and soothing. This power is very precious. The world cannot run on the firmness of CP alone. A community lasts longer when there is also a power that notices someone's weariness, makes wounds hurt a little less, and stays beside tired people. So NP is like a stove in relationships. It warms cold places, softens hardened hearts, and creates breathing room between people. However, high NP does not mean this power is always used well. When this power becomes excessive, care becomes too much, consideration becomes meddling, and devotion can lead to exhaustion. There is a common flow among people with high NP. They care a lot. Others do not recognize it as much as they expected. Then they feel hurt alone. For example, let's say a group goes camping or on a picnic. A person with high NP cannot really play. Even when no one asks, they help prepare the food, they set the meal, clean up, and even cut the fruit. Other people eat and go back to playing. On the way home, the person suddenly thinks, "What did I even do today? Why was I the only one working? I'm never coming again." But when a similar gathering happens next time, the person eventually packs things again and goes, "If I don't go, who will take care of everything?" This mind moves again. Once I visited a relative's home and left with a whole container of kimchi. For the person giving it, this was sincerity and love. It was offered with a genuinely warm heart. But for the person receiving it, carrying that kimchi on a crowded subway on a weekday evening can become a real burden. The giver may remember, "I gave something good." The receiver may remember, "I was thankful, but it was very inconvenient." The problem here is not that there was no good intention, The problem is that good intention moved too far ahead and missed the other person's situation and distance. So when this repeats, a person with high NP gradually feels hurt. I did this much. Why don't they notice? I helped 10 times. Why did they thank me only twice? But when we look back, out of those 10 acts of help, maybe 2 were truly needed. 6 were fine either way, and 2 may not have been help at all. They may have made the other person uncomfortable. Excessive care can create a larger problem. It can take away the other person's chance to do things for themselves. A high school senior finishes counseling at a tutoring center. Afterward, the student calls their mother. Mom, should I register for this tutoring center? If parents always do things first for a child, it becomes hard for the child to grow autonomy. Even when the child can get dressed alone, the parent dresses the child. Even when the child can decide on their own, the parent decides instead. Then the child gradually becomes more used to, Mom will do it for me, then I'll try it myself. This pattern does not happen only between parents and children. It can also happen at work. When someone does too much on behalf of another person, that person may learn dependence before responsibility. In other words, NP is a power that helps people live. But when it becomes excessive, it can shrink the other person's space for growth and exhaust the person who is helping. The scene of bringing water shows the beautiful power of NP. It is the ability to notice what another person may need before they say it. It is the sense of knowing how to care without being asked. Because of people like this, a community becomes much less cold and empty. But if that same power loses direction, even a little, it can leave discomfort behind, like in the kimchi story. The giver's love is real. But if love is not delivered in a way the other person can handle, warmth may be remembered as a burden. So the power of NP is not decided only by the size of the heart. How that heart is delivered, at what distance, and to whom, also matters. On the other hand, something that looks like a shadow can sometimes contain strength. For example, the pattern of getting hurt alone clearly has difficult sides. When care does not come back as much as expected, the person feels hurt. They try hard alone and become tired alone. But underneath that pattern, there may be deep affection for people. There may be a wish for the community to work well. There may be a warmth that cannot simply leave someone alone. The problem is not the heart itself. The problem is the distance and the way that heart is used. We can also look again at the example of helicopter parents. Overprotection can clearly hurt a child's autonomy, but its starting point is usually not irresponsibility. It often begins from very great love and worry. Because the child might have a hard time. Because the child might make a mistake and get hurt. Because it would be easier if I did more. This mind moves first. So what matters in NP is not stopping care. What matters is noticing whether the help is something the other person truly wants and whether it is needed at this distance right now. Would you like me to help a little? This one sentence is important. If the other person says, I'm all right, then stepping back is also care. Sometimes not helping protects the other person's strength. Help is not always better just because there is more of it. Some help supports the other person, but some help reduces the space where the other person can stand on their own. So NP needs to learn not only the amount of care, but also the sense of distance. NP is like a stove that warms the world. Without a stove, relationships become cold. But if the stove is placed too close, it can become painfully hot. So using NP, well, does not mean giving endlessly. It means turning it on when the other person is cold, at the distance the other person wants and only as much as needed. Then NP becomes consideration rather than meddling. It becomes care rather than excess. It becomes long-lasting warmth rather than exhaustion.